man.
I think we're just propositionally justified in believing in pro-life.
You're propositionally justified in believing in pro-life?
Yeah, I'm propositionally justified in believing that abortion is immoral, and I'll just give the justification for that right now.
What was you? Okay. You're justified in believing abortion is immoral, and then what was that last thing?
Yeah, I'll just give the reason why. So, check scans.
Okay.
Yeah, so the argument is pretty simple. It basically just says that because the fetus is numerically identical to me and killing me is proton-morally wrong, then killing the fetus, it brings as much harm, if not even more, than killing me.
Okay, so this is a view of numerical identity. Okay, that's fine. For any organism F exceeds a time n and does not die at any point after time n, then this organism still exists. Okay. Okay, cool. I guess I would accept the first part if it is the case that you posit some sort of like persisting property that makes this organism the same organism.
Yeah, so if something doesn't harm this organism before time A, then or after time A, then it's the same organism, obviously. Yeah.
No, okay. That wasn't what I said. What I said was that I
No, I'm
would
just
accept.
reaffirming.
Mhm.
I'm just reaffirming the first premise. I'm just saying, like,
Okay.
it's a pretty simple premise. I don't think you disagree with it.
Okay, no, it's fine, but I'm still saying that there has to be some sort of like persisting property to say that organism X is organism X. You agree with that, correct? What? Yo, wait, did he
My
leave?
fault. My fault. My
Oh,
fault.
okay.
My fault.
Yeah, did you hear what I said before you leave?
Yeah, so it has to have some sort of persistent property. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because if we're going to say that organism X is going to be the same, is going to be organism X, I assume there's going to be some sort of property there that makes it organism X, not organism Y.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. Just repeat your contention for premise. Wait. Are you disagreeing with premise one?
Okay. I disagree in the sense, I disagree with this thing in the sense because this is talking about numerical identity, and I disagree with it regarding the fact that organism X is going to be organism X over time.
So you
I don't
think
think
that
there's
over time, organism X changes into another organism? Like, let's say organism Y.
I don't think there's any persisting property of an organism, no.
Okay. So
Bro,
okay.
what?
Look. If a living organism never ceases to exist, and never dies, then it still must exist, right? You agree with that?
I mean, sure, that's just trivial.
Okay. That's basically that's the whole premise, bro. Like, yeah, that's why I said
Yeah,
it was a
that
pretty common. So it's
no,
pretty common.
yeah, that's fine. That's why I say it's pretty trivial. But if we talk about numerical identity, that's where I
Yeah, the
feel like
numerical identity part comes in after, but so
no.
premise two
Mhm.
is just let FS be the fetus I've developed from. So, obviously I've developed from the fetus. I don't think you disagree with that. Do you disagree with that?
Um, I'm unfamiliar with what that means. What do you mean that you develop from the fetus?
So okay, look. So, if okay, look. So before I was a sperm, and then the sperm, I became an egg,
Wait,
and
whoa,
then I
whoa, whoa,
became a
whoa, whoa,
fetus,
whoa, whoa,
then I
whoa,
became a
wait.
baby, then I became Zeni.
But
I,
before you were a sperm?
yeah, basically the whole point is just a pregnancy cycle. Like, I was a baby, and before I was a baby, I was a fetus. Like, and then I was a zygote or something. I don't know. The point is just that for me to exist right now, previously I had to have been a fetus.
I'm very unconvinced by this because I'm also very concerned with why you said that like the cycle and then you included you being a sperm. I don't think anyone was a sperm at one point. I think that's very implausible to even say.
No, I'm just saying that. Look. So, like, let's say, I see. You know the pregnancy cycle, right? So, like, when a baby
Yes.
is born,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
sperm fertilizes egg, zygote implants there as an embryo, and then it develops into a fetus. Yes.
and then it turns into a baby, and then the baby is pushed out, and then I'm Zeni, right? Or I'm Katagiri, right?
What was that? The baby push out
So,
and what else?
and then that's me. I'm that baby, right?
I would say, I mean, no, I don't think you. No, wait, look. I
Wait, you
don't
think
think.
the baby that was pushed out of the mother isn't the same person?
Wait. Yeah, I would agree in that part of that. You right now, you were, the baby, right? But I just would disagree with the fact that you were the same entity as you were before a mind was developed.
Well, do you think that okay, so do you think that the fetus has died or something? Like the fetus used to exist, then I came about from that.
Well, because this is a dispute about identity in a sense. I would just say that okay, I would say that if you say this is I'm looking at your argument right now and you say if FS has not died and FS in this case is used as fetus, then FS still exists. And then FS has not died, Therefore, FS still exists. It's valid in the sense that, it's a modus ponens, that's fine and all. But I contend with it in the sense that I don't think that what makes FS is the fact that it's organism X. That's the part that I disagree with.
Okay, so okay, so do you think that FS has died at all?
Died in what sense?
Like, so the FS died, and then from that death, I'm born. Do you think that is what
From
happened?
death, I would say there could. I guess if we use this semantic, I would say that there's some sort of like transformation in a sense because I believe that once the mind develops, there's going to be a distinct entity. So if you want to use
Okay,
that
so
terminology, sure.
if the fetus never ceased to exist, and if it is still a living organism, then it still exists, right? It has.
I I don't think it exists as the same entity that has a mind. No, that's my main contention.
Damn.
Did everyone stop talking, or is it my Wi-Fi like tweaking out?
No,
It says
everyone just
mom's
stopped
calling
talking.
him.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
his mom's calling him.
Oh.
Yeah, my mom was calling. Do you want me to continue with my argument?
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't hear anything. Like you just like
Uh,
disappeared.
okay, so if the fetus never ceased to exist, basically it never died or was destroyed, and if it still has a live, and okay, if the fetus never ceased to exist, and if it is still a living organism, then it still exists. That's basically what I'm trying to say.
Okay, that's not what he's saying, dumbass. Holy fuck.
That's what
Wait,
I said.
what I'm saying. Wait, okay. So I just want to make it very clear. What I'm saying is that in a sense, I would agree that we are human organisms like that. Okay, cool, cool, cool. That's like trivial in my opinion. What I'm saying is, and what I'm giving contentions to, is the fact that I believe that we're going to be a distinct entity once the mind develops. Once we have what's going to be a property of a mind, I believe that that is going to be a distinct property. So in my
Okay, how is that a relevant distinction?
what do you mean? Wait. How is what a relevant distinction to mind?
Yeah, how is it?
Yeah.
Okay,
So, yeah. So I believe the mind is going to be the thing that necessitates having a future of experiences. The thing that's going to make us identical to the type of thing that can have these future experiences. And without this, I just believe that we're going to be as relevant as a plant. So if it is the case that pre-mind, right, you try to make the claim that it is the same as having a mind, I would just have to disagree because there's obviously just going to be a distinction in its ontology.
okay, so you're saying that the mind is what distinguishes a fetus from me, right?
I would say that. Okay, wait. I would say that the mind is what distinguishes you from not having a mind. I don't know if that was clear. The mind
The
is the
mind.
distinguisher. Yeah.
Can you reword that for me real quick?
Yeah. Wait. What was that?
Can you reword that?
Okay. The mind is what's going to distinguish you as a unique entity.
So because I have a mind and previous me didn't have a mind, then we're not the same entity.
I don't think you're the same entity as pre-mind. No.
And the mind is a sufficient enough distinction to make the to say that, right?
The mind is the sufficient enough. What?
So the mind is a sufficient enough distinction to go to say that me and the fetus weren't the same being.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, okay. Well, I think that identity isn't just based on what's it called? I think identity isn't based on mental traits. Like I'm taking Annabelle's position.
I'm glad. Okay, look, I mean, I obviously I can understand that that's going to be an animalist position, but and I understand that's your position, but I'm simply disputing with the fact that I don't believe it is going to be this biological aspect that makes us us, because this is the same thing I asked C. Okay, look, what's going to be? Do you think that masturbation is wrong to the sense that if we ejaculate and we let thousands of sperms die, we should be punished for it the same way I should be punished if I kill another human being?
Uh, Wait, okay. Are you just trying? I think that's like a loaded question.
Oh, okay. So like I said, this is the same thing I see earlier when he spurred out. So do you think that ejaculating is like wrong? Do you think ejaculating is wrong?
I mean, prima facie, I don't think there is anything wrong with it from a first
Okay.
look glance. There's nothing
Okay.
wrong with it.
Okay, you don't think ejaculating is wrong. Okay, cool. So and then you believe that like abortion is going to be wrong, correct?
Yeah, I think abortion is wrong.
Okay, perfect. Abortion is wrong. Jerking off isn't wrong. Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
from a
So
first glance, okay. I think if we like add more aspects to it, then yeah. But from like a first glance, I don't think ejaculation is
no,
wrong
I
at
mean,
all.
yeah. I mean, sure. Like that's not really the main point of contention. What I'm going to ask is that okay, do you believe like let's assume it's possible because I think it is very unlikely that you can do this. Well, actually, I think you can. If a woman takes pills to prevent implantation, meaning that the zygote is going to end up, dying in the process, do you think she did something wrong there?
Was she previously pregnant? Is she like taking the pills
you
to
you
not
you
be
can't
pregnant?
you can be I mean you can't be pregnant until implantation happens. I'm just saying like if she prevented
Okay.
implantation, there's a zygote, this is a human organism. Do you think she did something wrong with taking this pill?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Okay. Now, she would do something wrong if she took pills to prevent the zygote from implanting, which is going to end up resulting in the zygote dying, meaning a human organism dying. Okay, cool. So, why is it wrong to take this pill to stop this zygote from, continuing on its, path, but it's not wrong to jerk off?
I'll just take back that claim. I think sure then. If you word it like that, then yeah, I think jerking off would also be wrong. Like we have good reason to believe that jerking off and taking pregnancy or anti-pregnancy pills are both wrong.
Oh, okay. Do you think that a woman should be punished or it should be seen as an immoral act to kill the zygote?
I think it's an immoral act, yeah, but I don't think she should be punished for it.
Okay, cool. Is there no way in like your argument, like for example, an embryo fetus that they should get punished for it?
You said what?
Okay. It's not a woman shouldn't be punished if she kills this human organism in the zygote stage. You agree with that?
I think it's an immoral act, and I just don't care if he's punished or not. The point I'm just making
Okay.
is that
Okay, it's an immoral act. Okay, perfect. So it's an immoral act. Fine. We can stick there. We don't have to talk about the punishment or like the legality behind it. Okay, cool. So, but then you said you retracted your statement about being like prima facie about masturbation, but then you also believe that masturbation is also immoral.
yeah, because now that you've given this argument, I realize that my reasoning beforehand was flawed in believing in that.
Okay, and then masturbation is immoral because
Because it kills many potential zygotes.
what's the wrong maker of killing potential zygotes?
Yeah, no, like you just said that. All right, look, you said that killing, or I agree that killing a zygote or taking the pregnancy pill to kill the zygote is wrong. So
Mhm.
if they're also killing the zygotes by masturbating, then that would also be wrong.
You're not really killing a zygote though. You're killing something that can possibly create a zygote if fertilized.
Okay, then yeah, I think sure, bro, sure. That's also wrong then. The potential of it becoming a zygote and you taking away from that potential is wrong.
Okay, so it's wrong to jerk off because of a potential that doesn't exist yet.
There's a possibility it's going to become a person with future experiences. So yeah, sure, it's wrong.
Okay. I mean, you know what? That's fine. That's fine. Perfect. Okay, cool. So then we laid out the groundwork. So masturbation is going to be immoral because it eliminates potential zygotes. And then it's also going to translate to zygotes, embryo, and fetuses. Okay, cool. So when you talk about your argument that you laid out in scans, and the thing that I told you that I disagreed with was mainly the modus ponens of if FS has not died, then FS still exists. FS has not died, therefore FS still exists. What I take like dying to be, it's going to be something related to like its mind property. Like I mentioned
It's
earlier.
mind property.
Yeah, I don't think
So
that the yeah.
so you think that becoming brain dead is equal to being dead?
Yes.
Okay, what if someone has become brain dead, then they have the potential to become unbrain dead?
At that point, that's just gonna be like kind of contradictory due to the fact that when you're brain dead, that's just basically like you gone. Like
Okay,
there are
let's say
some there are some outliers. Sure, I can definitely say there are some outliers, but if you tell me, oh yeah, if you're brain dead, I'm already going to assume that it is the case that you're just gone permanently. There's no bringing you back, and the only way
okay,
to keep you alive.
what if they had like the potential to become brought back? Like it's just a hypothetical scenario. So a
If in a hypothetical scenario, a dead person could come back.
not a brain dead person.
Yeah, and if I take a
So,
brain dead person to be dead, then there in that hypothetical scenario, sure, I would object to that, but what does that do to the
so
position?
yeah, the reason why I brought that up is because, well, if it is to be the case that they still have the potential to live a future like ours, then you're protecting the potential that they could live or they can continue living a life like ours.
Oh,
So
okay, that's fine.
why shouldn't we grant that same moral consideration to a fetus?
Why shouldn't I grant that same moral consideration to a fetus? Wait, we're just to be clear, we're still talking about the brain dead thing, right?
Yeah. Because
Yeah. Yeah, like again, this goes back to the thing. I can definitely grant the future like ours argument, but I just don't think it's going to apply to an entity without the property of a mind, because it is going to be the case that we're not if you talk about numerical identity, right? You just can't I just don't believe that future like ours can account for the fact can actually properly object to the identity objection, because the
well,
fetus free of mind, it's just going to be a different entity than the one that actually has a mind. So I don't think that fetus has a future like ours. I think the one that actually has a future like ours is the one with a mind.
well I don't think that. All right, how do I say this in a way that doesn't seem circular? Um, okay, look, let me just give like a scenario. So, like, if you fall into a coma or if you suffer total memory loss, you temporarily and permanently lose your psychological continuity or continue. Damn, I can't say this word.
Continuity.
But intuitively, yeah, but intuitively, you
hmm
still exist. You still exist intuitively, right? And you still have
No,
brain.
I don't
You
think you
still,
exist as the same person. No.
why?
Well, look, I mean, this like again, this is like a very trivial like objection. Like if you tell me like we get into like this situation where we lose all our psychological profile, and let me just steelman it a little bit more, right? And if we lose all our psychological profile, and then like when we wake up, we have like a new psychological profile, I can say the previous person died and a new person arose. I don't think there's anything wrong with that being said.
Okay. So you think that the our identity is just fully psychological, like psychological and mental.
I think identity is dependent on the mind, and what actually necessitates a future like ours is the mind. Yeah.
So you disagree with animalism, basically?
I mean, I do have my issues with animalism, but like, it's not
Uh,
necessarily even a dispute to animalism. It's the fact that I just disagree with the fact that what makes us the same person is our human organism, because I don't even think the organism is a persisting property.
okay. Then how would you go against the what's it called? The animal. I forgot what it was called, but there's an argument here. Let me just ping you to it. Actually, never mind. Let me
The
just send it in
thinking
chat.
animal argument.
Yeah, the thinking animal argument.
Can you send it in scan so I remember it?
Yeah, there's a human animal sitting in a chair. Homo sapien organism is occupying the space you're in. The animal is thinking, it's having thoughts. You are the one doing the thinking, you're conscious and you're having thoughts. Therefore you are the animal.
You sent it in scans, right?
Yeah.
Okay. P1, there's a human animal sitting here, Sarah. Okay. The animal is thinking. Okay. You are the one doing the thinking. Okay. Wait. Wait, I'm very confused. Why is it in P2? Why is it the case that the thinking has to be necessitated by the animal?
Uh okay, the point is just that the animal is perceiving, he's having reasoning and feelings. So
Well,
if you believe that you're thinking, then the animal me, the body me is also thinking.
Well, like, no, wait, that's not really the contention I had. Well, actually, now I have like, with what you just said, I have a second objection. But like, the first objection is I don't see how it is the case that the animal is gonna be the one that's doing all of this, because that's just gonna presuppose the animalist view. I take it that all of these things that are mentioned below P2, the animal is perceiving, reasoning, feeling, and having thoughts. I don't believe those are traits true of a human organism. I think those are traits true of a mind. So that's my first contention, and that's going to be with P2. I would agree with P3 in the sense that when we talk about you, we're talking about the mind, because I believe that what makes us the same entity is going to be the mind. But I disagree fully with P2. I don't think the human organism, presupposing that, like, animal and human organism are going to be used interchangeably, I don't think they're going to be having the ability to think.
Okay, well, if you deny the animal is thinking, then you need to explain. Who is performing all your mental activity. But yeah, actually, that's it. So if you deny that the animal is thinking, then explain who is doing all the mental activity.
Wait, if I deny the animal is thinking, I have to explain who's performing all the mental activity?
Yeah, that's just
Wait,
a reduction of denial. So, basically, what happens is whenever or if someone is to disagree with the reduction or the premise two of the argument, and they need to explain who's doing all the mental activity. Who's doing all the mental activity for the animal.
Okay, who's doing all the mental activity for the animal? I mean, do you think if I say, let's see if like you would understand when I say this. Do you think if I say that the organism is quote unquote doing, these things, it follows that we are identical to the animal?
Yeah. So if you have two conscious thinkers and they're both on the same chair, then and they're thinking the same thoughts, like they have the same line of thoughts, then it would be wildly counterintuitive to say that there's two animals rather than just saying that there's one animal that's made up of both mind and body.
Whoa, 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 whoa. What do you mean by two animals?
Or not two animals, I meant two people, like two conscious thinkers. Like you and the animal.
What the fuck? I want you to repeat that, because I'm not gonna lie. After I asked you something, like, I just like lost my train of thought. Repeat. What was your issues with saying that, like, it'll follow that if I say that the animal is doing the mental activity, then it means suddenly that he
Check
is an
stance.
animal?
That's a check stance.
Okay, give me a second.
So to
Alright.
avoid that counterintuitive process, then it would just be very it would be very what's it called, parsimonious to just say that there's two thinkers, or there's not two thinkers, but there's one thinker.
Okay. But if both you and the animal are conscious thinkers, you got two thinkers in the same train. Wildly counterintuitive. Yeah, but like, again, like I said, right? I can just say that the mind is the type of thing that thinks, right? And the organism is going to be the type of thing that is dictated by the mind. Like, you're very well aware that, for example, if we take this as an example of like maybe a human on a mech suit, right? When the human is going to be dictating what the mech suit does, think of the human being the mind, and then the mech being the organism. Like, just because the mind is going to be dictating all the activities that the organism does, I don't see how it's going to necessarily follow that the organism is going to be what makes us us. Because again, like I said, my previous contention with that was the fact that if it is true that it is going to make us us, not only are you gonna have to like give me a reason to like believe that the organism is gonna be a persisting property in the sense that it goes back to your abortion argument, but again, like, animalism also, like, even though the thinking animal argument is a very popular defense for animalism, it also has like its issues with it.
Yeah. Okay. Well then, even if you assume for argument's sake that I'm not the animal still has all the same behavior and neurological processes that you associate with thinking, like mental activity and etc. So unless you're willing to say that the animal is a zombie, like a non-conscious being, it's reasonable to conclude that the animal is thinking. Then you get that counterintuitive
Wait,
situation where there's two thinkers on a chair.
Wait, yeah. I don't really see how that follows, because, like, look, if we say that the animal is thinking, we're not. I don't think it's going to necessarily mean that there's going to be two thinkers.
I'm going to take it that it's going to be that thinking is going to be occurring in this organism. And that's what I mentioned with like the example of the, the mech and the human. Cuz look, just because there's going to be thinking occurring in that organism, and just because the mind is going to be the type of thing, or brain, I use both terms interchangeably, dictates what this organism does, it's not going to follow that there's two thinkers, and it's not going to follow that the organism is us. That's my contention.
Well, then how do you like lead away from this very counterintuitive situation where you have two thinkers on the chair?
Wait, what do you mean it's counterintuitive if I explain that I just take it to be that the organism is going to be the thing that is dictated by our thoughts?
Yeah, you're gonna have two thinkers on the chair or on the same chair thinking the same thoughts.
No, I reject that. I've already rejected that, and I explained why.
Okay. Maybe we can conclude that.
Okay, that's fine. You can go with your conclusion. I'll mute up.
All right, sure. Well then, I just think that. Okay. Oh, can I say one more thing before we conclude?
Yeah, that's fine.
Hey, can we debate after?
I think that animalism is just more parsimonious than any other theory. Basically, because animalism just says that there's one thing, and you don't need to posit souls, separate people, or abstract mental bundles like the mind and stuff like that, etc., etc. So it avoids multiple entities, which is basically the core of ontological parsimony. So I'll
Wow.
trying to like go against that. Then if not, then we can do it here.
We can. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I guess you know what? No. Before we conclude, I don't. Okay, even if you add that like thing about like animalism supposedly being a more parsimonious view, and you account for like ontological parsimony, just like stating this isn't really gonna, say like anything. Like you're gonna have to like give a view on how this ontological parsimonious view accounts for the fact that it's more probability racing. You haven't really given that, and then the second thing is that even if you think that is going to be the more parsimonious view, based on the thinking animal argument that you provided, I don't think that it proves that it's going to be a more parsimonious view. Because again, like I understand the whole premise of the thinking animal argument, but I reject it completely because if we take it another way semantically, it's not necessarily that there's two thinkers. It's that there's going to be a conscious experience that is dictating this organism, and the thoughts flow through this organism. But we can conclude if you want.
All right, sure, man. I don't want to say conclusion, so we could just stop here. Hey, man, good debate, but GG.